I don't regret firing Steve Austin. He said, you should. You had something there.
TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Title match.
As you began populating WCW with names like Randy Savage, Hogan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Honky Tonk Man, others who have been with the company for a long time, like Johnny B. Bad, Mick Foley, Steve Austin, began moving on or were fired. Why were some of the older guard unable to maintain themselves as the company changed its landscape?
You know, I don't know why certain talent that had been around, and big name talent, by the way, I'm sure there was some resentment. Look, in this business, you know, the wrestling industry, the entertainment industry, it's not just a wrestling business, but when you're a performer or an athlete, there's only so much room on the roster, and it breeds insecurity and competitiveness and anxiety and resentment. It's human nature, and I think when Hulk Hogan came in and we brought Ric Flair back and Randy Savage was there and all the rest of some of the talent that you named earlier, Hacksaw Jim Duggins and a lot of the other people that we brought in, it created resentment because those people were eating up oxygen that other people felt like they weren't going to get. It's just human nature.
Was there ever a piece of talent that you regretted letting go during that time period? Steve Austin, or I'm sure you mentioned him before.
No, there was never a piece of talent that no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's because, again, I look at, it's funny, I don't know if you heard the podcast that Steve Austin and I did.
Yes.
Again, and it was fun because, aside from the fact that we were having a couple beers while we were doing it and reliving old times, it was an interesting conversation for Steve and I to have because we were able to honestly share our individual perspectives with absolutely no baggage whatsoever. And I could be honest about things that I otherwise probably 10 or 15 years ago wouldn't have been quite as honest about, and so could he. But the other part of it was we were able to really look at it in its context. Steve was kind of half pissed off half the time. He wanted something more. All his focus was on Hogan.
Hogan. Yeah. And it was like, even a legend at the time, I get it. The legend of WCW and other guys from WF. Like Ron Simmons and Cactus Jack wasn't new, but they was new, Steve went over there, ECW first, but still, what you say, you had something there. This man was U.S. champion, TV champion, tag champion. The only belt he didn't get was the big one, right? So, yeah, so. And he broke up the tag team. He had two similar Hollywood Blondes.
He had a chip on his shoulder half the time. And Steve's own words, hell, I would have done the same thing you did. Now, he wouldn't have said that 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but he understands it now because we can each look at it.
Well, he's very changed his mind, but I still think he was angry as hell.
But did I regret at that time?
Getting fired over the phone, or like what's name said, getting a letter with nothing in it. How about that? That'll make anybody mad.
Letting him go? Absolutely not, because I knew why I did it. And I would do it today. Under the same circumstances, I would have done it today. Because even today, nobody's got 20/20 hindsight. At the time I did it, Steve didn't know he was going to go on to become Stone Cold Steve Austin. Right. There was like no magic shining diamond in the rough.
But even before that, he wasn't garbage.
His stride, he hit his chord at the right time because of the situation that he had put himself in, and I had helped put him in. But that character might not have ever emerged had it not been for the fact that he left WCW, went to ECW, and then on to WWE as the ringmaster, if you remember.
Yeah.
I'd say that WCW didn't really let him talk much. And what was I? Oh, I was saying, yeah, he wasn't a garbage wrestler because people that know him now think all he did was the brawling and like street fight type stuff. He can wrestle, I don't know, but back then the knees and the neck wasn't bad. So you talking about 94? Yeah, the knees wasn't bad and the neck wasn't bad.
There's no way anybody would have been able to see that. So no, there was nobody nobody that I regretted parting ways with.
Okay. Memories of working with Steve Austin in WWE. Being around Steve.
Wow. Speaking of Steve, could you grab me a beer?
Yeah. Perfect segue.
Yeah, I was looking for one. I was hoping you'd give me one. Oh, thank you very much. Working with Steve was great. Again, it was kind of like
You thought he was joking. You really had a beer sitting back there.
I'm looking at it from this perspective, but it was another kind of step and closure in a way. And I don't remember how the idea first came up or who told me. It was either Bruce Pritchard, it might have been Vince. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Vince. So how would you feel about working with us? It was great. Cool. And then Bruce Pritchard was very close to Steve at the time, and we talked about what we would do. And I think I even had I think it was one of the few times I threw in an idea or two about me, searching for Steve. I was either adding to the concept that was originally laid out, or I don't know if I came up with the idea of me searching for Steve Austin. But we did that. I went down to Bandera, Texas, hunting for Steve Austin because of the mandate that Mr. McMahon gave me on TV. And I got down there. It was the first time that I had seen Steve since WCW. And
wow,
we were in a little bar in Bandera, Texas, and Steve came down and pulled me aside. We talked, and it was like, "Hey, kid, I would have never been a Stone Cold Steve Austin if you didn't know what you're doing. It was easy.
Right.
It was fun." And then
he should regret it though.
Because I knew the audience.
You had something there.
Everybody wanted to see him kick my ass. Everybody knew I fired him by 5X. I mean, there was all this built-in heat. It was perfect.
FedEx said it was over the phone. Jericho was FedEx, wasn't it?
TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Yeah. It was Steve Jericho. How about Steve Jericho? How about that? Austin was over the phone, and Jericho got some FedEx letters with nothing in it or something he said. Whatever that interview was. But yeah, that's either way. All that is messed up. What the hell? Oh boy. So it was kind of good, kind of bad. But really good because he said those T-shirts, and they keep talking about Cena, but this Austin had the T-shirts, the action figures. I don't know if he's had. Yeah, he did have a hat. And back then, now it's just the downloading and the streaming. But back then, the VHS and DVD was both around back then. So yeah, I said Austin's merch was hell. His stuff was up there with Hogan's. So yeah, getting fired over the phone. Damn, that still sucks. Not a meeting or no nothing.